Hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Lauren the Filmmaker Extraordinaire, and today we're talking managing our money.
I was kissing you with my eyes open, but you said keep them closed.
I would consider myself to be pretty good with money. I've been using a budget for a long time. I've worked jobs. I've always made sure to put a lot of money into like savings and not spend it on everything I want to buy. I have like pretty good impulse control. For instance, even today I was at a store and I wanted to buy this adorable Oogie Boogie. I'll include the Oogie Boogie here. You can see a picture. And I was like, no, we're gonna wait on this. I'll wait for my next paycheck. And if I still want him, I will reconsider. And I figured I would talk about that also. I made a little poll and it seemed to be the video that was most desired to see. So I like to accommodate when I can. I will be talking about a couple different things that I use. I use an Excel spreadsheet and I use Mint. Now this is not sponsored by Mint. I will leave a link down below if you want to check it out. It's again, not sponsored. It's just what I use and I think it's very helpful. I will be going through a example budget that I found and I will like talk about how I picked the categories, how I decided how much money to spend on different things, but it will not be specifically my budget per se. Like it will be an example and I'll explain some of my account expenses, but not all of them, just for personal like privacy sake. And then when I talk about Mint, I'm gonna use just pictures of like the app advertisement for it, unless there's something that I really feel like I want to address that there's not a picture of, that I feel cannot be just explained verbally. And this is not because I'm trying to be like high and mighty and withhold my financial information. It's just for my personal like privacy stuff. I just don't really like sharing all that information with the whole internet. But I will talk about the processes behind these things. He's probably not watching, but I do want to give a big shout out to my dad, who's the one who like got me started with Mint several years ago and who helped me set up my Excel budget spreadsheet. Without him, my financial situation and like how I think about money would probably be really different. So thank you, Dad, for all of your help. Now, onto the real content. When it comes to Excel, I have two technically different spreadsheets. One is a snapshot, which is just like all my different accounts and like the monetary value that I have, like sorting it, whether it's my IRA, brokerage account, bank account, checking account, savings account, whatever it is. So I can see kind of like a net worth of sorts. And this, my dad helped me set up and it was only to be kind of checked like annually, just to reassess like where we're at. And by we, I mean me. Oh my God, I think I need to get some water. Whew. All right, got some water. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I have my snapshot. Then that's to be checked annually, basically. Then I have the monthly budget section. And I made once like a general template and then I copy and paste it, like I may or duplicate the sheet for each individual month. That way I can keep track of my expenses like monthly in like a nice easy way and I don't need to worry about like losing that information or having to like go through history versions because it's all can be saved right there. Now I got my computer so we can dive into this template. So I'm gonna list the general like overarching categories and then I will hit on a couple categories within categories when I go over this. Currently on the screen you are seeing this personal monthly budget. This is exactly the one that I have, except obviously mine is customized to me. This one is just like a generic example. So it has projected income, actual income, and then you can see the difference. And you can see that it has your income one and extra income. So for me, my income one would be my full-time job, and then extra income could be anything I make from sponsorships, affiliate links, gift money, like whatever extra income I'm getting. So then it has a housing category, and you can see that it really allots for everything that you can think of, but you can also customize it a bit to make more sense for you. For instance, in my apartment, we don't have cable, so we took the cable category out, right? Like you wanna make it work for your budget, your system, and you put your projected cost, which makes the overall budget, and then as you make expenses and like spend money, then you can update it in the actual cost. So what I do is every Saturday, I go through all my transactions and I will talk about how I use that with Mint, and then I combine the two. So I have my transactions list, I go down and then I update my spreadsheet. And then there's transportation. Again, you can update this for whatever categories you are thinking of. For me, like my biggest expenses when it comes to transportation would be obviously my auto insurance and then gas, because gas is so expensive right now. And I am driving like a decent commute to work. So I made sure to budget a lot of money for those things, because those, even though gas is not like it may not sound like it's a requirement in the sense of like insurance is, but it really is a requirement, because if I don't have gas in my car, I cannot get anywhere, right? And as long as I'm commuting to work and I need the money, I need to go to work to make money to pay for my bills, right? So I need to allot this money for gas. Then there's insurance, an insurance category, a food category. Now with the food category, this was kind of hard for me to kind of figure out what to allot, like how much to allot for groceries versus dining out. I haven't dined out that much so far since like being in California, but like when I was in Philly, I would eat out probably more because I had less other bills to pay. Now that I'm like a more real adult, I am trying to like cook more food myself. However, that being said, like I use a meal subscription service that I recently started, Every Plate, to like get food delivered to work on my cooking skills. And I would count that as groceries. So that's a little more expensive than just getting groceries at the store, but it's cheaper than dining out. So it's kind of like a mix, and I don't plan on doing that for that long, maybe a couple months, just to get my kind of skills to a level that I'm comfortable with, my confidence in the kitchen up. And that's something that I think when we think about spending money, there are times when you may want to spend, well, there are times when I think it makes sense to spend a little more money to help with other factors. Like some people get subscription services or deliveries for saving them on time, because there's that saying like time is money. So it really depends on what's valuable to you and what you're trying to get out of it. Like I'm trying to improve my cooking skills. So along with getting the groceries, I'm learning new meals and gaining confidence, as I said. So to me, that's worth the money, but different things are going to be worth money to different people. Then there's a pets category, which I can just completely ignore right now since I don't have a pet. Personal care. Again, you can specify this for whatever kind of personal care you do. Then there's entertainment. This one I like that has like 3 other categories like built in. So you can say like if there's something that you do a lot, you can put that in. Like I think I put one of them as like vacation. Not that I go on vacation a lot, but that way I have money allotted. And the interesting thing with like vacations, because I'm not really going on a vacation every month, what my dad and I talked about when we talked about this together was to think about how much I may want to spend over the course of the year and then divide that by 12 for this kind of monthly budget, just to kind of put it in there so it's like sort of thought about, like being considered. But then think about like it kind of rolls over to the next month if you haven't spent any money like in that category, for instance. Then we have loans, a loan section. I'm very fortunate that I don't have any loans. I pay off all my credit card balances like right away, and I'm very, very fortunate not to have any student loans, but I may have loans eventually. So it's good to have a spot for that. Taxes. I recommend with taxes that you look up like where you are, like you're like do like an estimate using like a calculator somewhere, like how much your federal, state taxes, Medicare, all that good stuff will be. So that way you can budget for that, because that way when your income you can put your whole money, like all the money you get. Like for me, I get taxes taken out automatically from my paycheck, but I still budget them separately so that way I can see like total gross income, or not gross income, I can see my total income and then my like net pay that I'm actually taking home. But I still want that all to be budgeted. I hope that made sense. Then we've got savings/retirement section. Now I'm not saving a ton right now into savings and retirement, but I am putting some into those categories. And I think right now, like being young, like the more you can put into retirement and savings, the better. But as long as you're doing something, like that's much better than nothing. Like I'd rather just put money into my savings and retirement every month than like blow that money on like new clothes all the time. I do buy new clothes, but I'm like conscious about, okay, like, well, I can't spend all my money on this because I have to think about future Lauren. Then we have a gifts and donations category, which I, again, kind of made like a monthly donation thinking like for my church, but gifts, like I'm probably not buying gifts like year round. So that's another kind of how much do you want to spend on gifts in the whole year, divide that by 12 situation. Then we have legal stuff. And then you can see the total projected cost, the actual cost, and the difference. So this example, they're in the red, which you don't really want to be in the red, obviously, because that means you like lost some money, but you're going to have months where you might be like up and down a little bit, and depending on your actual savings that you currently have before spending any money, or like before making any money, spending money, like it's okay to sometimes dip a little down if you need to. I don't think you should be like, a budget is not to be checked like before every single purchase to be like, does this line up? But more like an overall sense of expenses. How much am I spending? Do I need to cut back on this category in general? It's more for like a big mental overview. Need more water. Now we're going to talk about Mint. So I'm going to pull up my phone. I have it on both, but because I'm going to be talking about the phone app for the purpose of the pictures we're showing, I figured I would just pull it up. Mint is really nice. I totally recommend it. I love that it's a phone app that I can check on the go or on my computer. So it has like your overall categories of spending, which I think is really nice. So you can get, now this is like similar with the spreadsheet, right? Like you're having the same information, but with Mint, because you link all your accounts, you can see it visually, and that's very helpful for me. Of course, sometimes it gets categories wrong, and you can manually go through and switch them. I don't generally do that as long as the category, like the graph is generally right. Like it doesn't bother me because I know that I have my more specific transactions and categories on my spreadsheet. It shows you your different subscriptions if you have a lot of them, so you can see how much you're spending, which is nice. If you have a lot of subscriptions, I think I have 3: Apple Music, Amazon, and Netflix. But I can definitely see that like getting more as you like depending on your situation. I really love that it has like insights, so you can see if you're spending more money on stuff. That's like a good way to be like, okay, maybe I'm spending too much money in this category, or I could spend more in this category actually, like food, for instance. Like maybe I could actually be buying a little more food or a little more expensive food if I want whatever kind of meat that is every now and then. Like not all the time, but maybe I have a little bit of leeway, for instance. You know, it's kind of like hit or miss. Probably one of my favorite things that Mint has is their goal setting. So I have a goal for my retirement account and I have a goal for my brokerage account. Now my brokerage account I kind of have for like my rainy day fund, like if I were to lose my job or something. So I have that goal set to be like 3 months worth of all my bills and like expenses. And then my IRA account is like a much bigger number for my retirement. And you can see kind of like, are you behind on these goals? Are you ahead on your goals? Obviously my retirement goal is set for like eons into the future. The brokerage one is like ideally as soon as possible I'd have that money saved, which makes me feel good. And then I can also see like, okay, maybe I need to be saving more. I don't think there's ever a situation where you want to be saving less necessarily unless you like need that money for like more immediate bills, obviously. I also really enjoy the credit score checking. So it shows you like your breakdown, whether you have like on-time payments, how much credit are you using, how old your credit is, number of credit accounts, etc., credit inquiries. And I just really enjoy that. I like tracking my credit score. Obviously it's just like one of them. I think they use the TransUnion one, I want to say. But like it doesn't, as long as it's like, you know, the general range, you have like a decent sense of your credit score, which is just nice to know. And also think about when you get all these offers for new credit cards, although having more accounts helps your score, when you have more accounts with like less time, that lowers your average age of credit, right? So you have to just like be cognizant of all the different factors, and the Mint I think really helps with that. It does have like offers, which is maybe annoying. Like I pretty much just like cancel all of them. I say like no thanks, no thanks. It is how the app makes money, so you just gotta deal with some ads, but I just ignore them and use the app free with no problem. And then it has all your accounts in one place. So I really like, as I kind of said much earlier, or not much earlier, but earlier, you link all your accounts, right? So I have my checking account linked, savings account, brokerage account, IRA. I have like petty cash in there. You can add property, like I linked my car, so like with the Kelly Blue Book value of the car, so you can kind of see the value of whatever you have. If you have other assets, you can put loans in there, credit card accounts. So it's all in one spot for you to visually see and understand and keep track of. And I think it's awesome. You can also make a budget within Mint. So I make a budget within Mint and I have my spreadsheet budget. So that way I can see visually, like very easily, how am I doing on my budget. With like, you can see the line like throughout the month, like, oh, how much do I have left for this month? And you can have rollover in Mint, which is really nice. So it, like if you say for clothing budget, you have $30 a month. If you don't spend it, then maybe it becomes $60 the next month, which is like just nice visually to see. Versus in the spreadsheet, there's probably a way to do that, like a formula maybe, but I don't have that set up. So I think it's nice just to have like the two budgets, and that budget is automatic because it goes through like what they consider a transaction to be. Sometimes it's wrong, but usually it's like the right kind of category versus, as I said earlier, the Excel spreadsheet, I have to manually enter everything in. And it's really just helpful to have a good sense of like where your money's going, because I think you can't really start saving money in any category unless you know what you're spending money on, because it's easy to be like, oh, well, I just won't go to the movies. But like, if you aren't going to the movies, not going to the movies is not going to save you money, right? Because you're not currently spending money to go to the movies. Versus like maybe you're spending a lot of money buying records or something, or buying too many books, and you might be like, oh, well, books are good, and maybe they are good. I mean, I think books are great, but if you're trying to save money, where are you spending money? That's where you can actually cut back. Do you need all these subscriptions? Are you watching enough on these content platforms to pay for the streaming services? These are the kind of questions that seeing where your money's going can like help you answer. And then when it comes to like petty cash and like actually spending money, I always carry some cash with me because you never know when you'll need cash, but I don't really carry a lot of it. Like, it's more of like emergency situations. Otherwise, I pretty much always use my credit card because I want that cash back, baby. As long as you can like control yourself with a credit card, I definitely recommend like using a credit card to get your cash back, your points, or whatever it is that you use, whatever your card is. But if you're worried about like, you know, spending money you don't really have, because maybe your credit limit's more money than you have in your bank account, then I do not recommend having a credit card, or have one and like trying to keep the limit low. Like, don't ask for a credit increase, because you don't want to find yourself owing a lot of money in credit card debt, because although they might sound really appealing, like with these ads, like go get 50,000 miles for like a airplane credit card, or get a bunch of cash back on every purchase, they can do that because there are people who are going to spend too much money with a credit card and then have to be paying a lot of interest and be in debt to like the credit card company. That's what you want to avoid, right? So like I always use my credit card, but I always make sure that I have enough money in my bank account to actually pay for my purchases. And I always pay off my balance like before it's even due, because I'm just like paranoid like that. And I always use my cash back to pay my credit card balance. Like, I know I could use my cash back to get like a gift card for something else, but I always put it like right back into my finances. Like, you know, like I earned like say $11 of cash back, that's going towards my balance. So that way, like I can pretend like, oh, this was a free drink or something, but I'm not buying more with it. I'm like using it to pay for things that I've already paid for or already bought. Does that make sense? I think that's pretty much it. Mostly it's just like checking on your finances. I check once a week just to like make sure everything's good, make sure I haven't had like a fraudulent, like someone tried to hack my numbers or anything like that, like my numbers, my cards. Just basic stuff really. Like by checking it once a week, and at least check once a month, right? Like just make sure that you know what your financial status is before you make like a big purchase or something. You want to make sure that you have enough that if there was an emergency, you want to be left scrambling. And that wraps up this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Please feel free to ask me any questions down below in the comments, and I will see you next time. So be sure to subscribe. Bye.
I guess I